yeah, he had quite an interesting life, and you can find a lot of his videos on YouTube of him discussing things on the old BBC videos and things like that. So if you get a chance and you're interested in Russell, check out those videos. And I mean, I would highly recommend, even if you don't want to pursue a major in philosophy or something, like pick up his book, Problems of Philosophy. It's not hard to read at all. And then, I started out, and I mean, because I think this is kind of what Russell is getting at in his essay, to draw the distinction between instrumental and intrinsic goods. And we started, I asked you guys the question, why are you in college? Why are you getting a diploma? Is it just, so you can get a piece of paper that says, hey, look at this, I'm educated, I made it through college, now I can get a good job. Which in that case, that would mean that education is purely instrumental. But, the question was, is there anything intrinsic about education at all that's actually worth having? And then we had a little bit of discussion about, what it means for something to be intrinsic and what it means for something to be instrumental. And I think Kevin gave a pretty good definition when he said intrinsic. The word means coming from within. So it's something that's actually good in and of itself. It's not going to get you anything else. The most famous example of an intrinsic good is pleasure. And pleasure is just something that's just pleasurable to us, and it doesn't really give us anything else beyond the pleasure. But that is inherently valuable. And an instrumental, say for instance, getting an education to get a job, or making money, having money would be instrumentally good because money allows you to do other things. So that's kind of the difference. And is there a difference there at all? And I think that's the distinction that Russell brings out in The Value of Philosophy when he's talking about philosophy. He starts out by saying that people that call philosophy useless trifling have two misconceptions about philosophy. The first one is about the ends of life, or you could say the goals of life. What are the goals of life? And the second is a misconception about what the goals of philosophy are. And then he goes into a discussion about what he calls the practical man. And the practical man, essentially, according to Russell, is just interested in material things and improving their personal station in life. So they're concerned with what Russell calls the life of the body. And the philosopher, on the other hand, is interested in the life of the mind, and through contemplation and things like that. And then he talks a little bit about the goals of philosophy and how it can be misunderstood that the goals of philosophy are to answer, the big questions. Like I said, if you're coming to this class looking for the meaning of life, then you're in trouble, because philosophy often is just based on it's questions. It's a lot of questions, and Russell argues that there's a lot of value in asking those questions, because it sort of takes us outside of ourselves. Because when we're looking for knowledge and we think that we have knowledge, and we develop pretty strong beliefs and prejudices and things like that. And the truth is, a lot of times those are just misguided. So there's some real value in uncertainty and realizing that you don't know anything, or maybe you know some things, but not everything. And like Socrates famously said, the only thing that I know is I don't know anything. So that was the only knowledge that Socrates claimed to have. But Russell argues that asking the big questions, has a tremendous amount of value, both because those questions are really important, and because having that uncertainty sort of takes us outside of ourselves. And when you contemplate these questions about, what does it mean to live in a just society, or, how can I know that my belief in God is justified, or something like that, asking those questions takes you outside of yourself and your own prejudices and your own instinctive goods. I mean, which of course we all have, instinctive natures to look after ourselves, but there's a lot more to life than that. So Russell argues that that's the real value of philosophy, is that it actually takes us outside of ourselves, and it enlarges ourselves. And he gives the famous quote where he talks about the instinctive man is trapped, inside a fortress with the enemy approaching, and escape is, impossible, and death is inevitable, essentially. And that's what the man, the practical man, or the instinctive man is trapped to, is a life of realizing that death is constantly, encroaching, because the practical man's world revolves just around himself, and the philosopher understands that there's more to life than just material goods and the practical world. So that was essentially the the essay from Russell talking about the value of philosophy. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you bought it because, I mean, I do. And I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be teaching the class. But, I think there's some value to that. So this coming week we're going to be looking at the Writing Philosophy book by Vaughan, which is going to give you sort of an introduction to how to read philosophy, because philosophy is a very different kind of reading than, say, literature, history, or anything like that. It's all argument-based. So in that vein, we're also going to look at different forms of reasoning that go along with philosophy. And we'll do a brief study of logic and forms of reasoning, things like that. And then the second day, we're going to look at actually how to construct a philosophical argument. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I intend to do this for the rest of the semester. So have a great weekend. See you on Tuesday.